If you will assume your desire and live there as though it were true, no power on earth can stop it from becoming a fact. And that's a quote from Neville Goddard. Hey, Overcomers. I am Dara Marie. I'm your favorite mindset teacher, and this is Be an Overcomer, where you are inspired and empowered to walk by faith and use the gift of imagination to create the life you desire. So today's message is stop reacting to the 3D. Stop doubting your manifestation. Stop doubting that vision that God gave you. Because a lot of times, I believe that the Lord will give us a vision. And because there's this thing in the natural realm called a time delay, we think that that desire, that vision, that goal is not for us because it hasn't appeared in the time that we think it should. But I'm here to encourage you that if you've been given that vision and if you have seen it in your mind, it's only a matter of time before you will experience it in your world. But your job is to stay persistent. Your job is to stay in faith. Your job is to stop doubting that you were given that vision and to stop reacting, because sometimes things may come up that may seem contrary, but that's not for you to quit. It's not for you to say, you know what, maybe this thing isn't for me. Okay. And actually, I want to read to you a couple of quotes from Neville Goddard from his book, Assumptions Hardened into Facts. And he writes here, what you see when you look at something depends not so much on what is there as on the assumption you make when you look. What you believe to be the real physical world is actually only an assumptive world. So it's your assumptions. This is why I told you several years ago, when there was so much like heavy fear-based programming in the world, and there were so many people living in fear and so many people like reacting out of fear. Those of us that stood in faith and those of us that were like blocking out the 3D, it seems like we were virtually unaffected because it's your thoughts. Like in that season, besides the main thing that was being pushed out, another thing that was talked about in that season was like job loss and how bad the economy is. I don't listen to none of that, all that stuff. In that season, I knew a person that, I know a person who had a house built, okay? A builder. And yet they were saying the economy was bad. I knew someone who relocated twice, like different states. I knew someone who left a job, didn't have a job, and then got a job. So it is all based on what you're telling yourself on the daily. This is why the Bible says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. This is why it says, call those things that be not as though they are. See, it's your thoughts. It's what are you calling over your life? What are you speaking over your life? Because the more you speak about things that you don't want to show up in your life, the more it will show up in your life. So your job is to get disciplined. Your job is to know what you want. You have to consciously know what you want. It starts with a decision. Decide on the things that you want and the things that you don't want in your life. And keep your focus, keep your mind on the things that you want, and it will manifest. So we have to, as conscious creators, as people of faith, stop reacting to the 3D. Just because it hasn't shown up yet doesn't mean it's not going to show up. It just hasn't shown up yet. Your job is to be patient. Your job is to keep walking by faith. Your job is to be persistent in the things that you desire. Okay? Another thing I want to read to you from Neville Goddard. He says here, we have only to concentrate on the state desired to mentally see it, but to give reality to it so that it will become an objective fact, we must focus our attention upon the desired state until it has all the sensory vividness and feeling of reality. So in order to bring about a manifestation, in order to see that thing, that dream, that vision, that desire come to pass, you must focus your attention upon the thing that you desire. And give it, he says, and until it has all the sensory vividness and feeling of reality. Other books he writes about giving it the tones of reality, meaning in your imagination. What does it sound like, feel like? Like, where are you? If it's, some of you have expressed like going back to school. What school is it? If you're starting a business, if it's a relationship, write it out. What do you desire? What are your goals? What are your dreams? Like, what does it feel like? And tap into your imagination. Use your imagination. I believe our imagination has been given to us. It's a gift. It truly is a gift. Okay. God has given us that gift so that we can create the things that we desire in our lives. But too often we are using it to our detriment because we keep focusing on the 3D. We keep focusing on the latest headlines, what's trending, who said this, who said that. And I just want to tell you, a lot of times, some of the people that you're listening to, they're not full of faith. They haven't created anything. You're asking someone about going back to school. They haven't even completed the first step. You're asking someone about starting a business. They're not even consistent with doing the things that they're supposed to do. Okay? So I want to encourage you to continue to walk by faith and not by sight. If you've been given that vision, it is for you. You have to stop reacting to the 3D. Ignore the 3D. Persist. As Neville Goddard said, assumptions harden into facts. It will manifest, but your job is to not let up until it shows up. I will tell you that. We do not let up until it shows up. We persist in the things that we desire. Okay? The Bible says if you delight yourself in him, he will give you the desires of your heart. And as I shared with you, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. That's from Proverbs 23:7, meaning whatever you're thinking, that is what you will become. So if you're thinking that you're a failure, that's what's going to manifest. If you're thinking you're a success. And I want to tell you something. Affirmations, because I'm big on speaking affirmations, I'm big on speaking over your life. Affirmations, as you continually say them, okay, they end up becoming your thoughts. So instead of thinking from like a fear, like if you start speaking, everything in my life is perfect, everything is always working out for my good, I'm divinely protected. You start speaking that so much and start thinking that so much, you start to believe it. And then things will show up. Things will manifest in your world to prove the thing that you've been thinking. And this is why I always tell you to test it out. Don't just take my word for it. Don't just take my word about faith and imagination. I want you to test it out for yourself so that you will know without a shadow of doubt that this thing works. And then you will continually persist in it so that you can live out your heart's desire, so that you can see these things come to pass for you. Okay, so I pray this blessed you. I pray it encouraged you today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here. I love you all so much. Stop reacting to the 3D. Get your manifestation. Persist in faith. Okay, overcomers. I love you all. Always be an overcomer.